Yo, 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 and welcome everybody to Across the Hobby. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are all doing well. Last week, as far as cards go, was a crazy, insane week for me and for the whole hobby. I went into last week seeing one of the biggest, one of the most interesting auctions that I ever remember for me personally in my collection. And I went into it hoping to win 3 massive cards, and I really gave it a huge shot and came up completely empty. So I want to talk about that this week. The main thing, though, that I want to start this with is if you've ever watched this show before, you know that usually I talk about all the historical sales from last week and then big stuff that's going on in the hobby and then all the biggest stuff this week. I'm changing it this week. I'm always tinkering with this thing, and I want to make it something that you guys, that's most helpful to you. And some of the suggestions that I've gotten are, hey, Adam, why don't you just do a show that's the stuff that happened and the stuff that's going to happen? And I think that's a really good, simple way to look at it. So let's jump in and talk about the biggest sales last week. And you guys are going to you're going to see the biggest stuff that I went after last week. We'll talk through that. But yeah, so let's start with Goldin. The Goldin 100 that ended on Saturday was crazy, was absolutely crazy. I was actually really looking forward to making reels on several of these items, but Goldin reached out to me earlier in the week and they just had too full of a social calendar. So I didn't get to make reels on any of these. I actually wanted to make reels on several of them that I bid on. I just think they had some of the cool stories, but those cards, man, like this was one of the best auctions I've ever seen. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why. So the first thing that I want to say, though, so we obviously start out with two things here that most of you don't care about, because I don't think you're joining the show to talk about comics or Pokemon cards. The LeBron in the center. This is a card that everyone knows is like, it's the first Prism card. It's his gold prism that rarely moves. And what I can tell you about it that might be interesting, you probably don't know, is the last time it was listed, I was the underbidder. In fact, during the auction, my friend Exquisite Collector will acknowledge this. I messaged him and I said, "Hey, congrats, man. I'm going to let you have it." And he was like, "Wait, how did you know I was outbidding you?" And I was like, I just kind of felt like that was probably the case. So Tim and I duked it out last time this was up a couple of years ago, 9.5. And I think my final bid was like 240 or 235 or something. And I just couldn't, I knew that it was probably the best chance I ever had to get it. But for me to have gotten it, I would have had to trade a lot. And so I bailed. That was, I think, the third different time I've tried to get the card. It does not pop up very often. One time I tried to get it privately. I've tried a lot to get it, but I really love this card. I love it because it represents the Panini era. It's the first year. It's the first card. It's LeBron in a Heat uniform. All of those things are things I really like. I love LeBron in a Heat uniform. I've talked about this many times before. I don't generally like LeBron in a Laker uniform. LeBron in a Cavs uniform is great, especially early in his career, but there's just a lot of the stuff. The Heat era LeBron is just, there's not very much of it. And this is... I've got the other two big cards in the set. 793 is about where I figured that this would end. And I think, that's probably all I want to say about that right now. I could talk a lot more about it, but I know a lot of people messaged me and were like, "Are you going to go after this?" That's not in my world, guys. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I figured it would go for something close to that, and it did. Had it gone a lot cheaper, I would have been in on it. And so who knows, maybe the market will come down at some point, and maybe at some point I'll get a chance at it. A couple big sets here, including the set that is totally signed. I'm so glad to see that did rally and go above the PSA 10 set. The PSA 8 Brady does almost $550,000. And then another card that to me was a really interesting watch from last night, or from yesterday, from 2 days ago. We talked about it last week on Across the Hobby. Other than the dual Logoman auto of these two, is there a better card of these two? I'm not sure. That was another one that that's one of them that I really wanted to do a deep dive on, but I unfortunately didn't get the chance to do that. An amazing card though, guys. Goldin put on an absolutely incredible auction this week. An incredible auction. Like I said, I was just sad I didn't get to do the content on it. So this one right here, the LeBron Wemby dual logo man. This one was interesting because Wemby's is game used, 366,000. I mean, look, we're on row 3. We're on row 4. Gosh, and we're still like well into the 300,000s. The Caitlyn just kept getting bid on, just kept getting bids. I wonder if that's more about it being a Kaboom green. Kabooms are just on fire. 292,000 for the Shohei. 292,000. I get that it's a 10-10, but wow, that's a big number on that card. The Jordan PSA 8, this is another one I really wanted to tell the story on. As we discussed last week, this card has a really old cert number, but it's in a new holder. I was able to do some research on this after the show and found out some really interesting things on this card. There are 11 cards. If you look at the pop report right now, you will find under 1985 that Michael Jordan had 13. He now has 11 cards under star. And it says, in fact, I'm just going to show it to you. Why am I just explaining this all day long? I'm just going to show it to you. So if you come, let me show you guys this. If you go PSA 1985 star pop report and say something like not grading anymore, something like that. You're gonna get something really okay. Here we go. So check this out. This is so crazy. Again, I wanted to share this story. I did. So if you come down here to 101, you can see there are 11 of these. So here's what I found out doing the research, though. This number used to be 13. So, well, first off, what are we looking at? This is from when Star used to be graded by PSA. Way long time ago, back in the 90s. For a very short period of time, very short window, Star was graded by PSA. They graded 13 Jordans. Well, over the course of the last couple of years, while these stars are now being graded, just two of the original 13, two have been updated. They've been put into new slabs. One of them sold. That's this card. That's what this PSA 8 is. Now, some people are like, well, that makes it worth less because it's harder grading standards now. I'm not sure. That might be the case. But what is very certain about this card is that it is one of the very first that was ever graded by PSA. And if you look back here, I don't know what the other one that was graded. I think it was a 9OC, if I'm not mistaken. And the fact that it was an 8 is not a small deal, right? It was actually the highest graded, tied for the highest graded ever, too. So one of the first ever graded, recently crossed. I mean, they're not crossed, but recently reholdered. One of the first ones ever graded, and that provenance and the fact that it hasn't been touched by human hands, really, and it's like 30 something years. I mean, it was graded in like something like crazy, like 1994 or 1985, like a long time ago, literally in the 90s. So getting close to 30 years, if not over 30 years ago, that card was originally graded. And I just thought that was such a fantastic story. Okay, triple autograph here, 201. Really interesting to see the limited logo do better than that one. There was some controversy on this Jordan. Somebody said, hey, I don't think that this one has an appropriate serial number. But then there were other people who also recognized that this is one of the most one of the products of all time that required the most replacements. And so EX had a very clear way of creating replacements out of this set, and it included a letter where they cut out the old serial number and they said, hey, check this out. Here's the cutout from your previous card. Here's your new card. That's why there's sort of so many, they're not tons and tons, but that's why there's sheets of this product, because they needed them maybe for replacement copies and that sort of thing. So all three of those do just over or around 200,000. The Tiger in a 10 is 190. The Pelé to 2014. Oh, interesting. 2014. This is the World Cup stars, though. I think this is an insert. Interesting. The insert black does $183,000. Wow. Josh Allen, black finite rookie autograph, not the regular one, but the autograph, which is generally viewed as a lesser card. Sorry, my big face is in the way. $183,000. Again, the autograph's usually thought of as a lesser card. Maybe not as much in football as it is in basketball. I need to research that. Okay, now we're going to start getting into some of the most interesting stories, though, from last week. So the Steph, $178,000 for PSA 6. Well, the reason that I wanted to highlight that is, and I just put this together. I should have brought this up before I started recording, but I want to show you guys this. Check this out. This is crazy. So if you come in here to my profile, you're going to see this post right here. And I just posted this just a few minutes before I started. Tale of two Stephs, PSA 8, PSA 6. PSA 8 sold for about 4% more than the PSA 6. Sold about 5.5 months prior. And they're almost identical, but one's an 8 and one's a 6. This is a huge deal. And the craziest part about this is this does not even capture the fact that the PSA 8 was also the 1 of 50. I said this when this card was for sale, guys. This card right here on the left has a very good case of being one of the very best Steph Curry cards literally in existence. It's the first one. It's the only parallel that's like sort of obtainable, right? Like, and I know it's not obtainable to most people at this point. I get it. It was at one point. At one point, this was a $200 card. No, Adam, it was never a $200 card. No, it really was. Like I bought Ricky Rubio's, which were more expensive than Steph's at one point for $250. This was literally like maybe $300 card at one point. And so, in fact, I have a contact who bought 2 of these. He has them still raw. And he's fairly wealthy, and so he's just like, I'm just gonna keep them. But like, I've talked to this guy, I've helped him. Like, I'm like, dude, you might have $1 million cards here because a PSA 10 here is a 7-figure card. I think you guys know that probably. There's only 2 of them. It's a 7-figure card. So for me, where I'm not as much into grading like the results as far as like high grade, some people are really into that. I have, ironically, my best high grade card is a Steph, and it's worth a lot more because it's PSA 10, but it doesn't matter that much to me the way that it does to a lot of people. For me, the serial number on this one being number 1 of 50 was really interesting. And here we are, not 6 months later in 2 grades lower and also not a significant serial number. And it still almost matched the price. It's crazy. It's a huge sale. And so that's why I wanted to highlight that for you. So I was the underbidder on this card right here on this Kobe. And I wanted to tell this story so bad. I'll give you guys the version here, the non-real version. So you don't have the images and stuff. But so this card was on eBay about 5 years ago, over 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, February of 2020. And it was on eBay raw. And I saw it and I was like, crap, I got to have that card. It was still in its 1 screw down. And it was freaking awesome. I was like, I got to have it. I got to have it. I messaged the guy and I'm like, what do you need for it? We'll do it. And he's like, I want 15 grand. And I said, deal. I'll give you 15 grand for it. He never got back to me. He sold it to somebody else. I heard a rumor that he had 3 copies of this card. And then he like sold the others at some other point. But I was like, I'll meet your price. I'll give you what you want. I just love the patch on this card. I love the image of Kobe. It's the first stamped serial number autograph patch of Kobe ever. It's actually from the very first set of stamped patch autos ever. Stamped serial number patch autos ever. I have the Jordan to 23. I love it. It's a great card. I actually get asked about that maybe more than any other card in my collection. There's only 3 cards in the whole set. It's Kobe to 8, KG to 21, and Jordan to 23. And again, they're the first autograph patches ever with a stamped serial number. Ever. Literally. Ever. 2000. They didn't have them before this. There were 2 other autograph patches that came out this year. They were both hand-numbered serial numbers. I have the Kobe of one of those too, which I love. It's a great card. But the patch on this, guys, is just... And the reason that I really love that, even though some of you, I think, know that I'm not a crazy patch guy, I do love crazy patches when you can basically verify the card, that the patch is original to the card. And because this guy got this or because this guy had it for so long, and I knew that he had it for so long because I had an image of it, right? I was like, oh, I've just got to have this card. And so I went hard. I thought and I did. I'm still kind of regretting that I didn't do one more, but this would have cost me so many cards in my collection. And I think you guys know, like, I don't spend outside money on cards. I don't. I would like to. I'm not a wealthy guy. The only way that I can do this and build the collection the way that I have is through selling cards to pay for other cards. So this would have cost me like some really significant pieces of my collection to get it. But I really gave it a good shot. And again, the underbidder. And he and I went back and forth. Maybe there was a third guy in there somewhere, but I was the one just below this. So a tough one to lose out on. Okay, I've got two more tough ones to tell you about that I lost out on. We'll do this whole page real quick. We continue to see huge numbers here. Mahomes, 8 out of 25. This card in hand is just amazing. Okay, not a huge fan of black, but I'll tell you, as time's gone by, this one's just completely worn. Like I was gonna say worn off, but like whatever the saying is. Like I like this card so much. I like that the cracked ice shines the way that it does. It is beautiful. You can only, when you see it in person, that's the big thing. Tilt it side to side. It's also a 10-10, and in the PSA holder, it just really looks nice. Most of my best cards are in Beckett holders, but if you want a card to shine as well as it could, well, actually, if you want it to shine as well as it could, you go with either Tag or CGC. But if you're just looking at like, okay, between Beckett and the other companies, Beckett's just not nearly as good, right? PSA, like that card would look amazing. And 10-10 is a big deal. 170,000 on that. An Alcaraz to 50 sells for $158,000. It's crazy cool. I mean, it's a huge number. Big number on the MJ, $153,000 for a 7.5 for his final sort of playing days. PMG. I say sort of because he actually didn't play in 98, 99, but you know, a lot of people feel like that should still count because of when it was made and, you know, when his retirement was and stuff like that. Okay. 2003 Topps Chrome case does 150. Wow. That's big. Sorry. I was looking for something else. 148 on this Jordan. Wow. That is a lot of money for that big card. It's a very cool piece though. That's one that you can show your friends and be like, check out my card, right? Like this thing is amazing. It is amazing. The image of Jordan, the jersey that he's wearing, the autograph on the card, the condition of the card, the whole thing is amazing. I just don't look at it like a card because it's like a full-on, like big thing. But other people love it, and that's what matters. Not everybody has to collect the same, right? Nobody has to. A card can be any size if it's called a card. That's fine. 8687 original box, 150. And then the last two cards of the night that just kept getting bid on. By far and away, the Iverson was the card that just kept going. Friend of mine won this one for 122. Huge, messy. But let's talk about the Iverson real quick. Okay, so why I wasn't the underbidder on this one, but if I was to have gone back and said what was my favorite card of the night, I would have either said this or the Kobe that I was just talking about. I didn't do a top 10 for this. I didn't do a top 10 post, but if I would have put this Iverson. I honestly, like, people are like, this is a really big number. I don't think this is a big number. I don't. I think that this card should have sold for a lot more. And the reason that I say that is because we have the Credentials to 3 that was sold months and months ago. It sold for like 700 grand. Now people are going to be like, whoa, Adam. Like the Iverson 1 of 1 is like a basic card. It looks very similar to the Platinum. Like it's not in the same world as that 1 number to 3. And the number to 3 is a huge card because it's such a beloved parallel, and it's one of the rarest because that was a set that had cards numbered to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like each card was numbered stepping up, right? That's how the Credentials worked. I know, like I get that. I'm not saying this should have sold for what the Credentials sold for. I don't think the gap here makes sense though. I don't. I think that like I think you could say, what would you rather have, this or the Credentials? And a lot of people would be like, the Credentials. Like the Credentials is out of 3, and that's amazing for that set. And that's cool. Good for you. I really like this card a lot. I love the photo. I love the fact that it is literally the very first Allen Iverson 1 of 1 in existence. This was the first AI 1 of 1 ever made. And so 123 grand for that, compared to what other people are paying for other stuff, with how important Allen Iverson is. There was a red Allen Iverson that sold for like 40 grand over the weekend. And I just look at that and I'm just like, okay, cool. That's what the market determined. I love this piece. I do. I'm also not like the biggest Iverson guy, right? I've never been a guy who has to have an Iverson in my collection. I had a really cool post-playing days credentials that was number 9 that I liked for a few years. And I had a few other cards that were like a few grand here and there, but I'm not as big a fan of him as I need to be to want this. I like him. I like him a lot. I like him culturally. I would have loved to have this card. I think my high bid on it was like 75 grand. So I love it. But I don't think that this was a massive sale. I don't. I thought it had a chance to go way higher. Now, it was one of these that just going into the night was really low. And so you might, if you were watching it along the way, you might go, oh, it ended up going for a lot. Okay. It went for a lot more than it was. And you never know on a 1-of-1 like that. And we don't have a lot of sort of 97 ultras to sort of compare it to. And, big billboard, like I own one of these of another player, right? So like I've owned it in the past. Like when I say I've owned it in the past, like I've acknowledged in the past, like I love this set. I love firsts, and a player's first 1-of-1 is really cool. And I just think for a guy like Allen Iverson, and especially because, let me show you guys this too. Sorry, you don't have to look at my big head the whole time. Sorry, guys. Let me show you this. Okay. This is like the most underrated thing about this card. And we talked about it last week on Across the Hobby. It's in the 2 millions. This card was graded in like 2001 or 2002. It was 2003. I don't know. Super early. So this set doesn't have 2 versions like most of the Ultra Platinums do, right? Where it's like, is that the one that came out of the pack or is that one that came out of the pack? Fortunately, with 97, there's only one. There's only one. Hopefully, we never have like a sheet pop up. That would be so bad. There's only one, I believe. So if there's only one and it's his first one and he is arguably like number 3 guy in the set behind Kobe and MJ, like I just think that was a great deal. So anyway, there's my long version on that one for you guys. And then the other card that I finished second on, this one right here, this Wilt. I've wanted one of these for years. My friend Joe and I had a conversation about his at one point. I think a lot of people feel like this went way too cheap. It's hard to pay like that much money for Wilt, right? Like I like the card more than any other modern Wilt times a million. All right. This year they put out 2 sets with Wilt autographs: the Century Legends and the Retro Incredible. And the Century Legends, I should know the number on this. I think. Forgive me if I get this number wrong. I might be off by 25 or 50 or something. There's an old Beckett that had the production numbers of this set. I've looked for it for a few years and I haven't found it. If you ever find it, if you know where it is in the old Beckett's, please message me. I don't think I have the Beckett. I think it's one of them that I'm missing. But after this set came out, after the 2 sets came out, Beckett ran a story. They had received information from Upper Deck. Wilt Chamberlain, we knew, had signed in 2 products. We knew it. And we knew in this set, the retro set, that there's the level 2 numbered to 13, and then we didn't know what the other one was number 2. And then in the Century Legends set, we know that one of them's out of 100, and we don't know what the regular version's out of. I've got the regular version, and I love it. It's awesome. So these 2 sets, you're like, well, we don't know what the 2 unnumbered ones are. But the cool thing is that Beckett released those numbers in a random spot in Beckett magazine sometime around the time that the cards came out. And if I remember right, and I might be off by a little bit, but if I remember right, it was like on the Epic set, it was like there's 100 golds and then like 137. I know it's a weird number, but like 137 regulars, or maybe it was 187 regulars or something like that. Why am I saying like this weird number with a 7? Because if I remember right, the total number of the epics was 1 more than the total number of the Incredibles when you add both versions together. And so there's like the incredible regular card is actually way more plentiful than either of the Century Legends. So this one right here is the best one by a mile, right? It's this one to 13, and then there's one to 100, and then there's one to 130 something, and then there's one to like 200 or something like that, right? And all in, there's something like it's 450 or 475 or something like that total on card Wilt Chamberlain autographs. And this is the best one. I really wanted this one too, but didn't get it. That's okay. Maybe I'll get it at some point. You never know. It's one of those elusive hunts. It's a lot of money, guys. Like, don't scoff at that. You know, that's like twice what I put down on my house. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But I love that card. And again, that's the other one that I really wanted to tell that story. The Scottie Pippen is huge. 4 of 11 does $108,000. I very sadly, and I'm sad to say this, very sadly, I have my Stockton from this setup right now. It's on eBay with MC Sports Cards, and I am sad. I have to move it. I'm picking up a really big card. It is one of the hardest cards I've ever had to move. The reason that I'm able to move it is I have another Stockton that I got that I like better. I have this of Stockton, his first 1/1. And so I felt like, okay, I can get rid of that one. But I don't like getting rid of it because it's numbered to 27. 27 is my lucky number. So anyway, there's so many other cards on this page we could talk about. We're already 26 minutes in. I want to take a few minutes to hit the other auction houses, but let's just scroll down here. 109,000 for the Kobe BGS 9. Willie Mays in an SGC 8 does 105. Jordan, wow, big number on that. Oh, it's a gem, but still 105 grand for 2-color patch auto from 96. A lot of people were talking about this, the LeBron, the final year of his prism with his sort of going out, walking away. People love back shots. It's a weird thing to say, but it's true. LeBron, this one, the Kobe walking away on the Noir card. People love these sort of like, I'm leaving moments. And this isn't a moment where LeBron's leaving. This is a moment where Panini is leaving. This is the final prism gold of LeBron James. It's an absolutely huge card. And a PSA 8 does 103 grand. PSA 7, Kobe, 103. Crazy patch on the LeBron. 7.5 grade. 7.5 grade. LeBron. This isn't Kobe. It's not MJ. It's LeBron. Not that LeBron's huge, right? Huge. This quality of patch and autograph here yields $100,000. I don't know if it's a 10 autograph. It might not be a little bit of streak there, but it's very blue, and how the color of the autograph matters more than anything. Kobe Chrome Refractor does less than 100 grand. People really care about greening. This one, the Force, numbered 7 out of 100. We looked at this one last week. The autograph is authenticated on the back, not just with a sticker, but with the wording, and that is better. It is not. I'm not talking about this card specifically. I'm saying in general, collectors want that wording on the back. It's more secure, feels better. Sticker feels like, did somebody fake this? Even if it's supposed to be that way, you have nervousness, right? I know I do. I bet I'm not the only one. So, okay, we did 2 pages on Goldin. That was so much fun, guys. Gosh, think about how much I bid on those 3 cards, and I came away with nothing. Crazy. Okay, Fanatics. I did 2 reels for Fanatics. Those were the 2 highest selling cards in the auction in the end. The Steph Black 48 Bowman. The thing that I discovered on this card that was amazing to me is that there is a red parallel of this card. I did not even know that. Guess what the red parallel is? Number 2. That is right. It is a 1/1 tops produced rookie card of Steph Curry. Didn't know it existed. And if I didn't know it existed, a lot of people didn't know that card exists. This obviously is not as rare as that. But other than that one, other than 1/1s, is this anyway, we'll move on from that. Number to 48 in a PSA 7. We saw how much the PSA 10 sold for, I think, last year at Heritage. Big number. It's $200-something thousand. Market's way up since then. At the time, I was like, that is stupid, crazy. I think in retrospect, whoever bought that made a really, really great decision. Steph's biggest stuff has absolutely taken off, and this is one of his biggest rookie cards. It is. You might not like it. You might think it looks unlicensed. It does look unlicensed. On the back, it has the NBA logo, and it says Golden State Warriors up at the top. It is absolutely licensed. It's one of his only big tops rookie cards. And even in a PSA 7, it's 48 grand. How about that? And then Shohei in the blue with the autograph out of 150. I tried to highlight, there's not very many of these, right? There's not. And it's harder to find a numbered one than it is than a non-numbered one. Blue is one that people really love. Blue is also the most plentiful numbered one. So if you want a gem mint Shohei pitching in his most plentiful but serial numbered parallel, I think some people like this one, by the way, more than like the green, more than the atomic. And I get that. Blue's sharp, looks good. It's a great looking card. $45,000 for a Beckett 10. Here's that AI I was talking about earlier, 35,000 on that. A Kobe 9 does 25.8. I will tell you, I don't want to share too much information here because I don't want to like throw anybody under the bus. I have a copy of this card. It's a BGS 7. It has really good color. People are not looking at grades anymore. Not the way they used to. I promise. Leave it at that. All right. Lamar Jackson. This is the holo. The holo is so sweet. I can't see it really from this image, but 25.8 on that. A Ronaldo for 25.2. A gold Kaboom Giannis. We saw one of these sell a few times along with Tatum. Sort of seemed like the card that the player collectors weren't really after as much from 2018. But the set guys have come in and totally I was going to say propped up, but that feels like there's a negative connotation there. The set guys love these cards. And so Giannis may not be something that everybody's looking for, but people want the set. And so even like 6 months ago, this was not a $25,000 card. People love Kabooms. They love Kaboom Golds. And this is the first Kaboom Gold. I had many chances to get the Kobe Kaboom Gold from 2018. And I was always like, it's post-playing days. It's post-playing days. It's post-playing days. Oh, how I regret that. I absolutely wish I would have gotten it. Mostly because of how the market's changed on it. I still don't love it. But the market does. And that's what matters, right? That's what matters. Mira Tuda Sport Cassius Clay. I didn't know this existed, but I'll bet you that is just rare as all get out. The Alcindor in here is super rare. I used to have it Wilt. At the time I had the Wilt, it was like a pop 1 of 7 or something crazy. Total, ever graded. Mine was a 1. Cassius Clay with his original name on here, 68. I like this personally. I like this more than that one that's cut out of the magazine. I do. That one that was cut out of the magazine was not designed to be cut out like a card. You can look at the back of it. It doesn't read like it's not. I mean, maybe it sort of was cut out like to come out. Maybe it sort of was. Let me take that back. Maybe it was. I don't actually remember. I can't remember if the language on the back of it is for Cassius Clay. I don't think it is, but I might be mistaken. I don't want to tell you guys something that's not true. This one, though, this is him. This is his sticker. And this one being a PSA 4, I don't even have to look at the back. I know that it was never put in the book, right? This is awesome. And the fact that it exists today is really, really cool. I didn't know that it existed. And I think it's amazing. Pop 1 of 1 ungraded higher. I like this. I wish I would have seen this. I would have done some research, and I didn't see this last week. Darn it. I would have loved to have done a reel on that card. Giannis Logoman, $23,000. It's is it a 1 of 1? It is a 1 of 1. It's a blockchain. Giannis Logoman's 23 grand now. Okay, there's a bunch more stuff here. Let's see. Is there anything else I really want to talk about? Oh, I didn't know that was up. Dang, man. I missed all sorts of stuff. Hakeem, 1 of 1. Still in the Rockets uniform. First year of 1 of 1s. Not his first 1 of 1, but first year of 1 of 1s. 1997 gave us 2 main sets with a 1 of 1. With respect to Chris McGill's 1 of 1 that came out of Upper Deck, that's the only 1 of 1 from that whole set. There are only 2 sets from 97 that had 1 of 1s like for the full set. The first one is Ultra. The second one is Showcase. Showcase had rows 0, 1, and 2. This is the best one. This is the row 0 Hakeem. Personally, I think this is his second best 1 of 1 card from his first year. And personally, I would rather have it more than, That's actually a good question. Would I rather have it more than any of his other one-of-ones early on, other than the Ultra? You'd rather have the Gem Masters. Because Gem Masters, there's only one of, and it's the first time Metal did it. And that's probably by far his most valuable one, because people like that set way more than they like 97. I don't know if he has an Apex Extreme. I love Apex Extreme. I love it. I love it. I love it. I only ever had one from that set, and that was the great Dickie Simpkins. I think it's sold for $400 or something like that. Boy, that was a mistake. Wish I could go back and do that again. Okay, other big cards ending there. Remember, this week for this episode, we're just going to look at big items that sold. The last two that we're going to hit, we've hit Goldin, we've hit Fanatics, massive sales at both. Let's look at the last two. We're going to look at our big eBay sales of the week. We're going to start out with hoodies, and then we're going to go to MC Sports Cards. Hoodies had their huge, giant, massive monthly auction, and they had a bunch of big stuff, guys. This is one of their biggest auctions ever. The Luka Immaculate patch auto from his rookie year in an 8.5, the jumbo patch auto, 14 grand. Lamar Jackson's Optic Downtown White Sparkle, the one-of-one, that's 13 grand. Gosh, a PSA 6 at this point of this card is $9,100 on the Platinum Portraits. A PSA 6. I saw this morning, if I don't want to get this wrong, somebody reported that a BGS 9.5 from this set sold for 35 grand. Wow. It's a great card. It's the best insert. It's the most recognizable insert, I should say. Maybe the best, too, from one of the most beloved products in the 90s. And it's just a great card. And the pinhole technology is just wonderful. And I love it. I would love to own this card in a 6. We looked at it last week. It looks amazing. Remember last week as we talked about it, it's like, this card does not look like a 6. Save that money, 9 grand. Awesome. $5,800 for a 6 Wilt. Obviously very off-centered, but still $5,800 for a 6. $5,400 for a Scoot Gold. $5,700 for a Walter Payton. One of his mini autographed cards from 1999, right before he passed away. Numbered to 34, $5,700, almost 17 grand. I went on and on about this card last week. 17 grand on that one. Jackie and a PSA 2, very off-centered, still is $9,900. We talked about this Mahomes for a long time last week. 19 grand there, 13 grand on Luka Green, 1 of 5. We talked about that one for a while too. I was really interested to see how that one would do because people just aren't in love with green, which is super ironic because from 1997, Precious Metal Gems is like the best thing ever. But people didn't go as crazy for this one as I thought that they might. Not that I have any idea what the last one sold for, but like it's a 9. Autograph's not graded. I don't know. I thought it might go for a little bit more than that. $5,300 for the PSA 8 Bowman Chrome Refractor. Wow. Jokic 5 of 5 does 22 grand. It's a big sell on that card. At least to me, it feels like a big sell. Red Wave Refractor for Aaron Judge to 25, 11,000. The Topps Transcendent Shohei 1 of 1. This is a super fractor. But it's not a super refractor from the base set or whatever, but it is an autograph. It's $7,600. And then the card that I did the reel for hoodies last week. Big sell here. MJ Kobe dual jersey autograph. $68,000. That's an MJ in a Wizards uniform. I'm wincing because when I bought my Kobe Logo Mania, which is I love that card. When I bought it, I had a dual auto of these two. Now, it wasn't a dual auto jersey. I think I got 11 grand for it. That was only a couple years ago. I always knew this combination would win in the end. I always knew it would. And I don't say that like they're connected. They're completely connected. They're the two greatest shooting guards of all time. They played against each other. They had a relationship. They loved each other. They don't have that many dual autos. They don't have that many duels. They're probably the two most collected players ever. Sort of a no-brainer, even in a Wizards uniform. There's not that many playing days ones, and they're all with MJ in a Wizards uniform. 68 grand. $5,700 on the Drake May. Oh, actually, now we're Past it. We're done. We're done with last week. Okay, that is it for hoodies. And then now we'll get to MC sports cards. BGS 8 on the Rodman. 18 grand. What is that? About 10% of what the Jordan did? Jordan just sold. Jordan was 7.5, so not as nice a grade. And this is a new grade 8, which for Beckett, I think really matters. This card was not an 8 10 years ago. It was a 9. It's a 9.5. They're just so much harder today than they were. And then something that I really regret missing, guys. I did not realize that this was up. This is a card that I think you'll understand why I missed it. PSA 10, Brady. Great. Keep moving. It looks just like a card that you would normally see at the MC weekly auction. A 10 on that card is like a $10,000 card or more. But this is a far better and more important card. This is the Rookie of the Year promotion. So if we look really close, here's what you're going to see. See original listing. I hate that eBay does that. Look at the back. Guys, this was the playing card or the game card or whatever you want to call it, the redemption card potentially, where if Tom Brady won Rookie of the Year, that you would get like this, you would then send this in and you would get like this complete set. Yeah, you won this complete set. But that doesn't matter now. What matters is that this is effectively a parallel of one of the most iconic football cards of all time. And it's seriously rare. This card and his Bowman Gold, that's serial number to 99, those are his rarest parallels of this card. I get that people are like, I don't care that it has this thing on the back, and that's fine that you don't care. It's still a rare version of one of his best cards and one of his most recognizable cards, and it's graded a PSA 10. One thing that your eyes might be thrown off by here, there's no number on the card, and so there's no number on the slab. Stands out to me. That top right corner doesn't have a number on it. But the back looks like that. And if you scroll in, you can see just some awesome things here. It says what the odds of finding the thing are, right? You can see on the back. In retail and hobby, they're 1 in 76 packs. But if you get a hobby collector pack, it's only 1 in 36 packs. If you find one of these, save it. Congratulations. You know that you have it, so save it. Then look down here. If you're in Canada, you must correctly answer your mathematical skills question here. 90 divided by 3 times 6 minus 34 plus 144 equals. You had to write that down. You didn't actually have to write it on the card. You could have written it on a white like 4x6 card or whatever. But for the longest time until I knew that, I would write it out actually on the card. Because I didn't have to write the number, but what you do have to do is you have to write down the address down here. Saying write the address down here must have been like the worst idea that they ever had, though, because like this is a normal size card. Fitting your name in there was not easy, and because it's sort of got like the semi-gloss stock, it was really hard to write it in. I know $41,000 is a lot of money for a redemption card, effectively, but I love that buy. I do. Because of how rare it is. I really like that. And people are like, oh, I don't like this gold here or whatever. Like, it's so rare, and it is a rare version of an iconic card. And I love rare things of iconic things. Rare versions of iconic. It would be nicer if it was shiny. It would be nicer if it didn't have the big gold thing. I don't care. That's all that exists. You can only go after those things that exist. And I think that in the end, that card's going to matter a lot, guys. I do. $9,500 for a PSA 6 of this card with an MK qualifier. Wow. The Jordan 1989 Cal Mouflon Yugoslavian. I probably said all those things wrong. Almost $7,500. And we're already, gosh. I went on and on about all that. Oh, no. We're still in last week. I'm sorry. I'm like losing my mind here. I went almost as far as I wanted to. I missed just a couple. The LeBron PSA 10, $7,600. Joe Burrow, the Chronicles Prism. Why did Chronicles make this? I don't know why Chronicles made this card. Because it says rookie. Is Joe Burrow's only rookie card in Chronicles? I should know that. Maybe it's because it's autographed and he didn't have an autographed version in Prism. I don't know. Clearly, I don't know about as much about football. Kevin Durant, PSA 10 out of 14.99. It's one of the very few years where the refractor itself is serial numbered. Man, they did some weird stuff there. Topps did in those mid 2000s. 2005, they numbered them. 2006, they didn't number the regular refractors, I don't believe. 2007, they didn't make a gold refractor. They're just all over the place. And then I don't know who this is, but Messi's BGS 8, $15,600. And we looked at this one last week. Ilya Tupuria, I don't know how to say it, but apparently his Prism UFC lucky envelopes at 8 did $15,100. Guys, we did that in 45 minutes. This is going to be the new format. That's all the biggest sales from last week. I just took you guys through about 150 cards in 45 minutes. I hope that was worth it. I hope that was fun. Give me some feedback. Drop it in the comments. Follow me. Do all those big things, awesome things. But seriously, guys, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you guys following the content, sharing your interest in it. Glad to hear that you like it. And I love doing it. I love coming through and doing this every week with you guys. I love making the reels. I appreciate you guys for taking the time. And until next time, happy collecting. Actually, until next time, which is going to start in like 5 minutes. So watch out for part 2, okay? Watch out for part 2. All right? Take care, guys.